Hey everybody, this is Dan. Here is the youth group roundup for November 10th. So we're going to be looking at gratitude and thankfulness. Did you know that the word Eucharist comes from the Greek for thankful or thanksgiving? It's pretty cool. So I thought it was interesting that the source and summit of our faith is a meal of thanksgiving. And so here in this November season, as we get ready for the holidays and Thanksgiving itself, let's unpack that a little bit. We're going to start out with pizza in our normal setting down in the cafeteria. We are going to do a large group icebreaker with everybody, both youth groups gathered together. It's a head-to-head competition where two teens get bicycle pumps, tall bicycle pumps. And I need somebody to bring a tall bicycle pump. They're going to pump up the bicycle pumps, and that inflates a turkey on a screen that one of us will control with a little computer. And as the turkey gets bigger and bigger and bigger, eventually it explodes. And it's hilarious and stupid. It's totally stupid, but it's very funny. So we'll do that. After that, still in that large group setting downstairs, I'm going to give a little talk about Harvard Medical School, Medical Journal, whatever. They publish every year an article about gratitude and mental health and the role that being thankful or a disposition towards gratitude can have in helping to improve, people suffering with depression or anxiety or just general sadness or whatever. And so just kind of it's a neat scientific tie to something that we're going to dive into theologically. So I think it might help some kids kind of jump into this and be a little bit more on board if they see Harvard is talking about how important this is. So is the church. So that's kind of a great thing. After I do that spiel about Harvard and our health and the way gratitude impacts it, we're going to go to small groups. Small groups are going to be awesome this week. There are 3 different activities that you can do in small group. The first activity is just, I've got a whole bunch of questions, probably about 9 or 10 questions that you could probably take almost the entire time discussing. And it's just, they're all laid out. But what are you thankful for? What's good? What's coming up in your life? What are you thankful for last week? What's good this week? What are you thankful for? What are you nervous for? What do you need prayers for? Also, how do you celebrate Thanksgiving? How do you show gratitude? What are the most meaningful ways to show gratitude? When's a time that you've been thanked or had gratitude shown to you? All those kinds of cool questions. If those aren't going well, no worries. Pivot and go to our scripture study. There's a story that we heard a couple weeks ago about a Samaritan who was a leper. So there were a bunch of lepers, both Samaritans and Jews, who hung out together because they were lepers. And that was their common bond, because Jews and Samaritans did not mix. Jesus comes by and he heals them all, and they all disperse. And one of them, a Samaritan, comes back and thanks Jesus. The Jews do not. It's kind of interesting. So I give some backstory and some context to the scripture in the theme development. You can check that out. But then you can have a conversation around the scripture about gratitude and what might be going on there. The third activity is, I call it a gratitude inventory. It's just a whole bunch of different ways and mental exercises for considering what we're thankful for. A lot of times in gratitude, saying thank you is nice, but not really meaningful. As it turns out, the more you pour into it, the more you're intentional about it, and the more you kind of practice it, the more meaningful it becomes. And so I've got a whole bunch of different ways for us to think about what we're thankful for and to show our gratitude for it. And I think that could be a really cool activity. So those 3 activities, I don't expect everybody to finish all 3 activities, but just do what you want and hop around. And if things are getting slow, move on to the next activity. No worries. But you've got a good 40, 45 minutes or so for small groups. The last activity that we're going to do is we're going to gather everyone again back together up in the church, gather around the altar for a talk on Thanksgiving, gratitude, and the Eucharist. And we're going to go through the Eucharistic prayers. It's going to be really cool. Just kind of a beautiful experience up in the church. And we'll close with some worship and prayer, and that'll be it. I'm excited. I think this is going to be great. So thank you very much for your patience and for being on board and for loving our teens. And I look forward to seeing you all soon. God bless. Bye-bye.